Hello and welcome back to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Ferguson, writer for UCLA on SI. Today we're going to be breaking down UCLA's pathetic 82-59 loss to Michigan State. Terrible game overall, and we're going to kind of break it down from top to bottom. But before we get started, I want to thank everyone right now who's listening to this podcast, Apple Music, Spotify, or even YouTube. It all means a lot to me. Without further ado, let's hop right into it. After losing to 30 points against Michigan in the game prior on Valentine's Day, you would think UCLA would get something going against Michigan State. But it was the same tale the entire game. Michigan State just looked so much better than UCLA. The Bruins, again, had a lid on the basket. They couldn't hit a shot. To finish the game, they shot 37% from the field compared to Michigan State's 53%. This is not sustainable. Entering this game, I thought UCLA would have a chance, especially if, with that added momentum, losing by 30 in the game prior. They're obviously going to want to come out and kind of right their wrongs, but they simply just did not do that. And it was frustrating the entire game. From top to bottom, UCLA just played terribly. Tyler Bilodeau and Sky Clark both played okay. Bilodeau had 22. He shot 50%. Sky Clark 5 for 11, 2 for 6 from the three-point line. I thought both of them kind of played well. Everyone else didn't really. The same can't be said for the other players. The next highest scorer was Trent Perry with 9. I think we probably will see Sky Clark make his way into the starting lineup. Something needs to give, and if Sky Clark is the answer by being in the starting lineup, I think UCLA will want to look to do that. But looking at the game flow of this game, it was clear that UCLA had a really bad first half. Some of their struggles against Michigan, where they only scored 18 points in that second half, were carried over into this one. UCLA only scored 23, so not that big of an improvement. But overall, UCLA just needs to figure out what's going on in these halves where they simply cannot compete. Because in the second half, well, it was still not good. They scored 36 to Michigan's 39, and obviously most of that was in garbage time. So again, these are not two teams playing at their best. Michigan State had a 20-point lead entering the second half. They scored 43 points, just completely took over. And at that point, there's not much for Michigan State to do. At one point, they did get up to 30. That's just because UCLA cannot do things well. Another thing that I really want to touch on is Donovan Dent kind of really struggling in this one. Turnovers for him became a factor. He had 4 in this one. He shot 3 of 11. Did not make a free throw or didn't even get to the line for that matter. So obviously Dent is starting to really struggle. This is now another game where Dent has just been completely absent. And these are the big games that UCLA brought Donovan Dent over for. And he has not shown to do that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this team will be able to finish off the season, especially when their star player is not playing his best basketball. Before this game in Michigan, he was averaging 18.5 points. He was getting 10 rebounds every other or 10 assists every other game, and he was looking like a real, number one option at the guard position in the Big Ten, and that has simply just gone away completely. It's frustrating, but that is just how college basketball usually plays out. It has not been Donovan Dent's last 2 games. I thought Bilodeau played nice in this one. 8 for 16. I know a lot of it was garbage time, but he was able to find shots in this one, something that was missing in the Michigan game. Michigan State had a very good defense, so it was hard for Bilodeau to get open, but I thought he did a lot better at doing that in this one. He was able to set his feet, drain some threes, and you can't really complain about that. It's a moral victory. 22 points doesn't matter if your team lost by that big of a margin. Moving down kind of UCLA stats, Xavier Booker, 25 minutes, 2 points, 2 rebounds. Again, not really being that, impactful piece UCLA wants. He was from Michigan State. That's where he transferred from. And obviously this was a big homecoming game for him, and he did not answer the call. I think at one point the crowd was even taunting him. They were chanting, "We want Booker. We want Booker." Tom Izzo obviously shut that down, but still, that goes to show how much respect Booker has right now, and he needs to really figure it out moving forward, or again, games like this are going to be more frequent entering down the stretch, especially against Illinois, who I'm sure is going to drop a similar amount against UCLA, given these last 2 performances. I also liked how Eric Frenny played. Again, he's kind of been absent, but we really did start to see him, really evolve into a player. 3 points, he made 1 3. He also had 2 rebounds and an assist. When he was playing, I felt like UCLA was doing a little bit better. Again, garbage time, so take that with a grain of salt. But still, there are some improvements made there from Frenny that I wish Mick Cronin would have taken advantage of before, Sky Clark was back in the roster, because I think Frenny is a talented player and could really make an impact, down the road. But outside of that, Sky Clark obviously coming back. I think, again, he's probably going to be starting next game. He played 21 minutes in this one. It looked like he tweaked his hamstring again, so I'm not too sure, how serious that is, but what I can tell you is he played very good. 2 for 6 from the 3-point line. Not the best, as he is a 50% 3-point shooter, but still, he is still trying to, get off of his injury. And that's what you like to see, especially coming off of, missing the last 10 games and playing off the bench against Michigan. 12 points, 5 of 11. He played well. I want to see him more moving forward, because it's clear what UCLA is working with now has not worked. I also didn't see UCLA really utilize their 3-guard look with Perry, Clark, and Dent. I thought that could have been implemented a lot more in this game, but it wasn't. UCLA was just out of it in this one, you could tell. Jamar Brown, he didn't really play the best either. 0 points. He had 4 rebounds and 2 assists, so not terrible, but I really do want to see him do more. Obviously, coming in as a transfer, it's starting to look like UCLA kind of added more negatives than positives in last year's transfer class. That is something that has to change moving forward, and if it doesn't, this program could be in the pits for the next couple of years. So again, I think that might start with a Mick Cronin coaching change. But anyways, that's a topic for another time. But still, Eric Daly Jr., 3 points, 1 for 2 from the field. He played 20 minutes. Again, not making a big enough impact in a game of this caliber. That is something we need to see from Daly. We know he can score when he wants to. He is a great ISO player, but he didn't really have that many opportunities to do so. Watching the game, you could tell Michigan State defense was elite. Anytime the ball was to any player, there was 2 players on him. It was just hard to get anything going in this game whatsoever. Trent Perry, again, I think that is just a product of, how well Michigan State defense is. 2 for 7 from the field. He played 25 minutes, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He also picked up 2 fouls and 2 turnovers. Again, that's not something you want to see. But as a team, UCLA had 11 turnovers in this one, 27 rebounds to Michigan State's 37. So there's a clear, gap kind of emerging. Obviously, we knew rebounding would be an issue entering this game, but still after the Michigan game where UCLA was able to out-rebound them by 10 in the first half, you could expect that UCLA would be more competitive rebounding-wise, but they clearly weren't, and that is just the fault of, Mick Cronin, roster building. There's a lot of factors that, build up to that point, but still, it's just unacceptable, especially of a program of this caliber with so much history and talent coming in and out every year. UCLA really needs to kind of figure out what's working and what's not working. I also, I wanted to say this one, but Steven Jamerson, 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He was ejected in this one by Mick Cronin, actually, which was crazy. He had a foul on Carson Cooper late in the second half, and Mick Cronin grabbed his jersey, pointed him to the locker room, and he was ejected. Do I think he should have been ejected? Absolutely not. It was a basketball play. Obviously emotions are running high, and if Mick Cronin wants to virtue signal, that's up for him to do. But still, that is not something a coach should be doing to its players, just humiliating him in a very, toxic environment. A very dangerous one. Michigan State packed that arena, and to do that to your player is not something that you want to see. I just think it's completely unacceptable by Mick Cronin. Moving forward, we need to see that kind of stop. And honestly, if you are Martin Jarman seeing that, you would be pretty upset with, how Mick Cronin has operated his team. This is back-to-back blowout games against some of the Big Ten's best. And to see that Mick Cronin is falling while also doing that to his players, I don't think if I'm Mick Cronin, Martin Jarman, I don't think I'm going to want Cronin to stick around for that much longer, even though it is a very expensive buyout. But still, it is just unacceptable. That's all I could say about that. And, I really did. I was rooting for Jamerson in this game to make a big impact. I thought he was showing more physicality than we've seen from Booker, and I really wanted to see Jamerson get starting minutes in this one, and because he has proven to be a physical, imposing player in the paint. But after something like this happens, obviously Mick Cronin is an emotional guy. So if he's ejecting Jamerson, I'm not going to expect Jamerson to play much this season. It's annoying. Why that's what's going on for UCLA. If a player's playing good, but they get a little emotional when they're down 30, why is this a conversation? He should be playing no matter what, not because of one bad play. And I am going to be critical of Mick Cronin because a lot of these issues in this game stem from him, not being a modern coach, not being able to recruit a good team with UCLA's bankroll. Obviously, they're a loaded program, so there's no excuse for UCLA to just fall apart like this. And again, if he's ejecting players in front of a crowded arena, an away arena, hostile environment, that's going to speak numbers to the recruits that you're bringing in. Obviously, UCLA has not been that active in the portal. The recruiting class this year. I think they got one, Javonte Floyd. But if you're a transfer looking for a fresh start, I don't know if UCLA is that school if Mick Cronin is still the coach. Again, he can virtue signal all he wants. I know the color commentators were like, props to Mick Cronin for being the bigger person and making the right decision. No, that's not the right decision at all. That is just complete nonsense when you kind of look at the bigger picture here. I mean, that is something that crushes a young player's soul, and obviously I don't think he's going to want to play as hard for a coach who does that for him. But that's all I have to say about Jamerson and that kind of situation. Just really gross. I hated it. Looking at it, it was just not something you want to see. UCLA played terrible in this one, and there's only one person to blame, and I think that is Mick Cronin. If he is on the team next year, that might not be the best thing for UCLA moving forward. But what I do know is he is not the right guy for UCLA right now. Again, 82-59. This game was out of hand midway through the first half. If UCLA is supposed to be that powerhouse team, and if Mick Cronin is not providing that, there's no reason why he should be the coach in 2026 and 2027. But again, that's all I have to say today. But just to kind of recap everything, UCLA played bad. I think that goes without being said, honestly. But still, moving forward, they have Illinois back at home. So maybe there's a chance for some momentum. But again, after a performance like the back-to-back, this is a terrible road trip for UCLA as a whole. Nothing really good came out of this game besides Bilodeau and Sky Clark. But besides that, that's all I have today, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and I'm sorry if you're a part of Bruins Nation and you sat through this game because it was ugly from top to bottom, like I said. But again, that's all I have today. And as always, maybe 4's down after this one, but still 4's up, and have a good day.